Hello everyone, what's good? Welcome to my video guide on creating and leveling a perfect character in Morrowind. Before we get started, know that I really don't recommend that new players do this, as parts of this process can be very tedious and potentially sour you entirely on the game. Also, for this guide, it's extremely helpful that you already be familiar with Morrowind's skill and leveling system. If you don't already have a decent understanding of this part of the game, I implore you to go watch my leveling and skill trainer video guide before you watch this one. Finally, as always, I'll have timestamps in the description if you need them. Now that we've got all that out of the way, let me just say that for this guide, my example character is going to be a melee build. However, you can easily use the information from this guide to make a spellcaster or ranged weapon build just as well. That said, I'm of the opinion that melee characters are just a little bit easier when it comes to handling this entire process. Okay, first off, we're going to need to pick a race. At this early stage, you need to keep in mind the skills our character is going to pick as major and minor skills. This is because character levels in Morrowind are hard-capped based on how many times a character's major and minor skills can increase. As you know, each race gets passive skill increases. While the number of skills and the magnitude of a passive increase may vary, the sum of all passive increases is always 45, regardless of race. So, we need to pick a race that has passive bonuses in 0 of the skills we intend to make our major and minor skills. For this guide, we're going with Redguard, because they're one of the 3 races that can begin with 50 endurance, which is key for having as much health as possible. And their incredibly powerful racial ability, Adrenaline Rush. It'll help us overcome practically any challenging combat encounter. Our character is also going to be male, because male Redguards begin with 10 fewer points in personality, but 10 more points in strength, relative to the female counterpart. That extra strength is going to make early levels a bit more easy compared to extra personality. Plus, beginning with 50 strength and 50 endurance ensures that we are one step closer to having the highest possible starting health, and therefore the highest possible base health. Next, we are going to create a class. First, we'll pick a class specialization. Because any skills that fall within our chosen specialization receive a 5-point increase, we must take care not to have any major or minor skills that are included in our specialization. For this character, our specialization is going to be stealth, because unlike combat and magic, there is no attribute that governs exclusively stealth skills. And while that's by no means a requirement, it's certainly helpful. Now, we'll decide what our major and minor skills are. Since leveling with maximum efficiency in Morrowind requires we play our character ass backwards, we're going to pick skills that we're just never going to use until we're completely ready. And, of course, these need to be skills that we have absolutely 0 passive bonuses in. So, our character's major skills are going to be Spear, Enchant, Mysticism, Conjuration, and Alteration. The minor skills will be Destruction, Restoration, Illusion, Alchemy, and Block. Having these skills as major and minor skills gives us really strong control over when our character is able to level, and allows for 775 skill increases. Thus, we'll have access to Morrowind's highest level cap of 78, without the use of exploits, of course. The next step is simple. We'll be picking our 2 favored attributes, which gets them a 10-point increase each. First, we'll pick up Endurance, so we have higher starting health, and gain more health per level. Now, while it may be very tempting to pick up Luck as our second favorite attribute because it essentially accounts for 10 levels, we won't be doing this. Instead, we're going with Strength. This is one further step in ensuring our character begins with the highest possible base health, and thus also ends the leveling process with the highest possible base health. This means that for 60 levels, we'll need to invest in luck. But thankfully, our character caps out at level 78 because of our choices and skills. Finally, we'll pick our character's Birthsign. Since we're not a spellcaster build, we'll be going with the Lady. This ensures that we begin the game with the highest possible endurance at 85. We'll only need to level 3 times to max out our endurance and ensure that we get the maximum possible health increases per level. This also is the final step in ensuring that our character begins the game with the highest possible base health. The added 25-point increase to personality is just gravy on top of that, and it'll help us shore up one of our character's areas of weakness. If we were using a spellcaster build, we'd probably go with the Atronak Birthsign for its hefty magicka multiplier. That way we could ensure that we have the highest base magicka reserves possible. Well, that concludes our character's creation, but we aren't done just yet. A big part of perfectly leveling our character involves really careful planning and a little bit of luck early on. First and foremost, always hard save right after you level up, because several skills in Morrowind increase just through your character existing and navigating through the world. It's easy to accidentally get more skill increases than you intended. Because of this, our first 2 attributes that we'll try to raise to 100 will be Speed and Endurance. Speed is necessary because it's impossible to play the game without raising our athletics skill. It's just flat out inefficient to not be leveling our speed attribute alongside the athletics skill. Not to mention the fact that it's difficult to not increase unarmored early in the game because we just don't have a full set of armor. And as we covered a bit earlier, endurance is necessary because we want the highest base health possible. It's important to raise endurance to 100 by the time our character reaches level 4. That's because, as you probably already know, health increases from your endurance attribute are not retroactive. The third attribute we work towards is honestly your choice. Consider making it strength if you're fearful that you may accidentally increase your acrobatics skill. Consider intelligence or willpower if you'd like a method for opening all of the locked doors and chests you find, either through alteration or security. Consider agility if you want your character to use a shield sooner rather than later. All of that said, I strongly recommend working on luck right away, especially if you aren't confident that you'll remember your long-term leveling plans. Like I said earlier, our character's endurance will reach 100 quickly at just level 4, thus allowing us to focus on another attribute. Using this method, you should max out your non-luck attributes by level 44, and finally you'll max out your luck by level 61. So all of your remaining levels will only be useful for increasing your base health. As I said at the top of this video, I really don't recommend new players play the game this way. Heck, I'm not even sure if I'd recommend any veterans do it either, because it can really just get that tedious and frustrating. Imagine losing hours of gameplay all because you forgot to do a hard save, and you accidentally increased your acrobatics because you decided to take a shortcut and jump down a hill or a set of stairs. Good luck to anyone crazy enough to go through with something like this. And of course, remember that the specific examples given here are just that, examples. Like I said, you can absolutely change your character as long as you keep in mind the logic behind each decision. Anyways, Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to have a look at my other Morrowind guides, because I'm pretty sure you'll find them more practical than this one. Oh, and check out my weekly Morrowind playthrough if you're into that kind of thing. Doing it all on max difficulty too. Alright, peace.